Today, on Be Something Wonderful, how to let go of attachments and be self-centered. I am your host, Tom Kieran, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, welcome back. I had a session with one of my clients that I had talked with probably about a month ago. And during that time, he wanted to be more relaxed at work. He said that he was always feeling a lot of tension, that he was overlooked by a lot of people, that he didn't feel included, he didn't feel appreciated, all of these type of things with his boss, with his co-workers, that he was thinking that he should look for something else. And so we talked this through, and he really did enjoy his job. He really did enjoy being where he was at. So as we talked about this, I really emphasized the idea of letting go of wanting things to be different, letting go of desiring and needing and wanting something to be different than it is, right? He had a desire to be included. He had a desire to be appreciated. He had a desire to really enjoy the environment. But it was coming from a total state of lack and needing and wanting something to be different, right? And so this is, in fact, I think one of you wrote on the channel yesterday about, I don't want to be, I know this might sound like I'm self-centered, and you were just making a comment. But really, it's the opposite. We want to be centered in ourself. That's what spirituality is all about. Right? We got it wrong. We think that the focus has to be on the outside, right? And if we're focused on the inside, we're, quote, self-centered. But we want to be self-centered. And I don't mean self-centered in a way of not appreciating people, not being kind. That's different. That's an ego 3D definition. I'm saying when you're centered in yourself, when you really are tuned in to that higher self, you don't need anything to be different on the outside. But the paradox is they will. And that's really what I want to talk about. So in our session yesterday, he said that once he got this idea of, and I think what we talked about at this time, I said, give all your wanting, give all your needing, give all your craving and striving for things to be different to your higher self. Surrender all that to your higher self, because your higher self never feels that way. And so your higher self can handle it. That's what I said. And he goes, well, I like that idea. Yeah. I go, that way you don't have to struggle with feeling like you're giving something up. You're giving it to yourself, but you're giving it to your higher self. Okay. So that he did. And he said the whole environment has changed. Things have just gotten better at work. He feels, or it appears to him, that things have changed. But really, what has changed? He has. Right? How he's seeing the world, his perception of the environment, right? He has moved, he's let go of his attachments to the 3D conditions, to the 3D events, to the wanting and needing and craving of things to be different. And he said even as a side benefit, he was actually calling because he's starting to date somebody new. And that wasn't really the subject of his previous call. And it was a coworker, interestingly enough, that he met at a lunch with other coworkers, but had never talked to, and never thought that she was interested. And so as they got to talk, he asked her out, and when they went out on their first date, they both said, you just didn't seem like you were interested. They both had the limited perception that neither one was interested in each other, and that's what they created. Really cool. So we'll have to stay tuned to see where this goes. So guys, I just want to say all 3D conditions keep you limited. All 3D conditions keep you limited because all 3D conditions reflect alternative realities where the script is written, right? All 3D conditions reflect alternative realities where the script is written. So all conditions, you're looking at the past, the script has been written, they all reflect other realities where it's already done, right? And all realities and scripts exist right now. Now is the only time. So all of those conditions exist right now. all of them have their own realities and own scripts. So if your current 3D reality, if you're in the past, if you're focused on that, you're trying to change a script that's already been written, right? It's all part of the field of infinite possibilities. So if this is true, if all conditions keep you limited, if all 3D conditions reflect an alternative reality where the script is written, if your 3D condition reflects an alternative reality where the script is written, and the realities and scripts exist right now, and now's the only time, then when you don't remember it or have an image or thought of it, it can't exist. Hear this. If you have an unwanted condition or a situation in 3D that you want to be different, if you keep remembering it the same way, because remember, they're all those scripts are, quote, in the past, but they're all right now. So if you remember it different, it can't exist in the same way. That's powerful. That's why you change everything by how you remember it. Do you see this? Memory is really is our imaginal act, because everything's already been created. We've talked about this in other videos, but I really want to get at it today as it reflected with this client. You change everything by how you remember it. In other words, how you think about it. Just like he changed his entire work environment by how he thought about it. Why? Because he moved to a new reality. A new reality that had a new script where things were like he wanted it to be. In other words, his perception widened and he saw more of all that is. He was no longer stuck in that less than 0.1% of what he viewed unwanted. That's powerful. Let's continue this a little bit more. So remember, I use this quote from Solaris quite a bit actually, but it is so powerful. Chris Kelvin, the remake of Solaris, when he says, "I was haunted by the idea that I remembered her wrong, and somehow I was wrong about everything." And this is about his wife that died by suicide, if you remember. And he remembered her wrong. Somehow I was wrong about everything. What does that mean? It means all 3D events and conditions. You're looking at only a narrow, you're looking through a narrow lens, a perception of less than 0.1% of what's really going on. That's what he was getting at here. Whatever the 3D condition, event, person, or place, it's a limited perception. It's less than 1% of all that is. All memories are partial memories. So even if you're thinking about an event now, it's all a past memory. Even if you think, quote, it's in the now. Everything is now, right? But also all scripts are written. That's the paradox. So all memories are partial memories. That's why knowing that you are remembering it wrong is true non-attachment. Once you know that you're remembering or seeing or perceiving everything wrong, you're only seeing less than 1% of all that is. You have a narrow perception of all that is. Then allowing this knowing and light in is true healing and forgiveness. It's not a process. So that really now we've defined what healing and forgiveness really is. It's about knowing that you're remembering it wrong, that you're seeing it wrong, that you're only seeing a partial perception, a puny partial perception of all there is, of the bigger picture. That knowing and allowing that knowing within, allowing that understanding in your being and that light in is what true healing and forgiveness is. It's not some long drawn out process that you have to go dig up things. It's this knowing that whatever you've seen in the past, either in this now, the moment that you call now, or a moment in the 10 years ago or 5 years ago or 20 years ago, all of it is because you were looking and remembering it wrong through this idea of seeing partial perception. No matter what somebody did or said or what happened or what you did or said, all of it's partial. It's that partial knowing. Now you have more knowing. Now you have that understanding. That's what healing and forgiveness is. That's what it's all about. So the dreams you think this is what A Course in Miracles says, very powerful. The dreams you think you like would hold you back as much as those in which fear is seen. So A Course in Miracles says the dreams, your reality, the things you like about your reality, you think you like would hold you back as much as those in which fear is seen. It doesn't matter what's going on in 3D reality. When you get attached to it, either in a positive way or a negative way. It's something good that you want to hold on to, or something that you don't want, that you want to get rid of, right? That you want a negative attachment. Either way, there's no out there, right? You don't want to hold on to any of that. Nothing exists apart from your attention, awareness, and observation of it. That's why getting attached to them makes no sense. It makes no sense to get attached to anything. Be self-centered, or in other words, centered in yourself. That's big. You are the awareness behind and beneath all temporary 3D conditions and events. You're not your thoughts. You're not the conditions. You're not even the people. You're none of that. You're the awareness of it all, right? 3D and the universe are within you. That's big. That's why it makes no sense. That's why getting attached to anything, whether it's wanted or unwanted, makes no sense. So let's hit this a little bit more. Infinite intelligence is always flowing in the direction of and in harmony with the path of least resistance. You're always getting what you want. You're always headed there. You're always in that reality, except you can't see it and perceive it because you're throwing resistance on the path where the infinite intelligence never does that. You're already on the path. You already have it all. You're already in harmony with it all. So, if that's the case, then let go and surrender means to get out of the way. Get out of the way of infinite intelligence. Get out of the way of your higher self, right? It means to stop holding your desires hostage with resistant thought. Hear this. When you give the desiring and the wanting and the craving to your higher self, now you've released it. You've surrendered it, right? And now it feels good. Now you know that now it's not so difficult now to let go. You know you're just giving it to your higher self who can handle it. You're not giving away your desire. You're giving away the desiring, the holding. You're holding your desires hostage to resistant thought. Thought that you need to keep wanting it and needing it to get it, right? Thoughts, although creative, have no power unless you give them power by resisting them or believing them. Remember we talked about this yesterday with Pontius Pilate, with Jesus to Pontius Pilate. You have no power over me unless it was given from above. This is the same idea. Thoughts, although all thoughts are creative, they have no power unless you give them the power by resisting them or believing them. Wow. Resisting unwanted thoughts or believing any thoughts. Right? So the ultimate state of non-resistance is observe your thoughts and let them dissolve back into infinite potential. Don't try to get rid of them, just observe them. Don't have to believe them. And you can believe the ones that you want, that feel good, that create a reality that you want, but don't even get attached to that. Knowing that all of it is fleeting, all of it's temporary. You're just here to enjoy it, right? Observe and release. You are not your thoughts. I really wanted to hit that. Remember, your lower thinking mind is always limited by past conditions and beliefs. Always. You're always in the past with your 3D thinking. You're always thinking of past conditions. The conditions you see around you are even in the past. We're always limited. So to let go, set your intention to have or be what you want. Then, this is big, you set your intention to have or be what you want. Then hand your desiring and wanting over to infinity or infinite intelligence. That absolutely non-resistant state of love. Hand it over to the infinite intelligence. Now you have everything you want. Right? It's on the path. It's within you. You have none of that other stuff. Stop clinging to things that you are not. Because that's really what you're doing. You're clinging to thoughts and conditions that are not you. 3D conditions and people and your thoughts about them are not you. And be more of who you really are. Be more of yourself, self-centered. Right? Try this. Turn every unwanted condition into an intention of what you want. Right? All the spiritual greats say this. Right? All of them. Joe Dispenza, even Tony Robbins and Abraham Hicks and Neville Goddard and Joseph Murphy. Turn your intention of turn unwanted conditions into what you want. Identify what you want. And then turn every negative thought into its opposite or the unlimited thought. Right? You're not even turning the thought into it. You're just choosing another thought. You're not turning any condition around, you're just choosing the condition that you want. It's always about choice, right? Turn it over to God and then watch. That's how to let go of attachments and be self-centered. I am your host, Tom Caron, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of Higher Consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button. Like and share our videos. That's how we get our message out. You can follow us on Facebook at Be Something Wonderful. We have a group, the Be Something Wonderful Ambassadors. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/groups/Be Something Wonderful. You can visit our Instagram and Twitter at Tom Caron, our website at tomcaron.com or BeSomethingWonderful.com. Guys, until next time, with great love, with great light and infinite gratitude, creators, see you soon.